I just got done watching Netflix's brand new original series, The Sandman, and I got some feelings, some conflicted feelings on this show, because the first 4 episodes I really liked. And this is coming from someone who has never read the comic book. I know that is a disgrace to many of you guys, and I apologize, but I've always felt very nervous to get into these because there's so many. I've always felt overwhelmed, but after watching the show, I already have plans to go this weekend and buy all the comics and totally dive into this because, like I said, the first 4 episodes really enjoyed and sucked me into this world where I was like, I am fully invested with the entire mythology that they are completely explaining here. Then the next few episodes come up, 5, 6, and 7, and I came to love them. I think these are some of the best episodes of television this year, and I completely got intertwined within the story. And then 7 and 8, quite enjoyable, changing up the story a little bit, but I didn't know how I fully would feel about it. 9 and 10, there's elements that I absolutely love in there that are freaky and creepy and very different. And then also very not great and a little bit rushed. And in the end of the day, I kind of walked away from the series going, how could I go from enjoying it to absolutely loving it to thinking this could be one of the best shows on Netflix ever to just leaving and going, I'll definitely be interested in the second season. But wow, it kind of just ends. And that's where I want to kind of get into this, because clearly this is being set up to be one of Netflix's next big original shows. And this possibly could be. That's where I want to start out with this. But of course, before I get there, guys, make sure to leave your guys' thoughts down below. Are you excited for this show? Did you like the trailer? Have you read the comics? Are you fans of Neil Gaiman? Let me know down below what your guys' thoughts are, as well as make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so we can keep talking movies and TV over here on a daily basis. I can't wait to talk about this show with all of you. Again, it premieres actually today as the embargo just goes up, so you can definitely go over to Netflix right now and start streaming the show. People who don't know what this show is about, well, it's about another world that waits for all of us when we close our eyes and sleep. It's a place called the Dreaming, where the Sandman, master of dreams, gives shape to all of our deepest fears and fantasies. But when Dream is unexpectedly captured and held prisoner for a century, his absence sets off a series of events that will change both the dreaming and the waking world forever. To restore order, Dream must journey across different worlds and timelines to mend the mistakes he made during his vast existence, revisiting old friends and foes and meeting new entities, both cosmic and human, along the way. Now, that is a lot, and this show very much dives into that. And what I actually really liked about this show is how the first episode really dives into where Dream is and when he is captured and dealing with that entire century. And that was an interesting tidbit to actually bring and formulate, because instead of starting us somewhere where maybe he was captured, then, middle of the episode, he escapes, the first episode only centers in upon that entire thing and how the world is going about and how people view him and what they are trying to do with him. And these are elements that I personally really liked. And then, of course, it dives into episodes 2, 3, and 4, which are all about him going back and trying to figure out and find out where he can capture and bring about the devices that can bring him about to becoming the king of dreams again, the god of dreams. And this whole entire mythology and world that they build up through seeing Dream travel is a very interesting way of exploring this vast universe that you think you would only know, but each episode adds another tidbit to another world or another character. When you meet Lucifer herself, played greatly by Gwendolyn Christie, who is an amazing actress who you saw, of course, in Game of Thrones as Brienne of Tarth, and she was one of my favorite actresses from there, and she kills it as this character of Lucifer. I love this portrayal. Also see a Joanna Constantine in here, which, of course, DC fans will know about the Constantine and things like that. And I imagine, again, I don't know much about in the comics, but I assume they're different versions of each other, but I really like that. And you get to meeting all these characters, which is great setup for the future of what I feel like will happen with the Sandman if we do get further seasons. And I really do hope we do, because the furthering out of this entire world was just splendid. And the world building, which I'm a big person on world building, I loved it more than I could ever explain. And again, that's what this whole first act is all about. You don't get to know much about the character, which I'm going to mention that in my cons. But the beauty of this show is visiting all these different worlds, visiting these different gods and different monsters and creatures, and just getting a fresh out. And also kind of starting to understand who Dream is and what he left behind. And even then, that is when things start to really come together, because in episode 4 or 5, everything changes. There is one in particular scene that happens in episode 5 that really much takes place in all one central location. And it is probably one of the coolest sequences that I've ever seen from a show in quite a while. It's not done in one-shot take, but it's when you start to understand what is actually happening in that scenario, what is going on in that world. That is what's the beauty of it all. And I like that the show is not just about Dream, but mostly the world itself that we are exploring. And again, like I mentioned, I'm a big world building person. They build up a lot of different characters, a lot of different worlds, and I just ate that all up. Because 5, 6, and 7 really start to deal with Dream more as a character and trying to rebuild his world. And while there are things in there that actually made you start to come and care about him and be like, okay, well, I understand why he is the way he is. There's one episode, and that is episode 6, I think, where it's about him and a man that is granted life forever, and them meeting up every 100 years to have a conversation about death, life, what he's done. It's fascinating. It's brilliant. And I loved it. I ate that shit up. That is my jam right there. That more subtle intriguingness of it all. And that is what the Sandman is. It's an intriguing, methodical story that dives into different vastly worldly things. And I liked when it was more wholly original and unique than where it kind of starts to go towards the back half, which I'm going to talk about more in my mixed category. But I have to give credit where credit is due, because I think the performances from nearly every single person in here was fantastic. Tom Sturridge as Dream, I wasn't fully on board with his performance at first, but as you start to get to know him a little bit more, particularly in episode 6, that is when I started to really fall in love with his performance and really go, okay, I can get behind this guy. Boyd Holbrook as the Corinthian, a scary nightmare in here. Boyd has been doing such a great job the last couple of years, and this role just goes further into this positions. Jenna Coleman as Johanna Constantine. She's not in it a lot, but I hope we get more of her in a season 2 because she was fantastic. And I already mentioned Gwendolyn Christie, who plays Lucifer in here. She's fantastic. Mason Alexander Park as Desire. Not in it as much as I thought it would be, but seems to be some great things that they're starting to build about. Kirby Bapsty, who plays Death in here, I loved. Small role, but again, stuff that they build up really well, and that's what they do. They make you intrigued with each and every one of the characters. And last but not least, of course, David Thewlis, who many people know from the Harry Potter world and many other different things. He plays John Dee in here. And again, one of the most fascinating elements was his character and what he was trying to do in here. And that goes to everyone that you kind of start to meet around in this world, and one that I could not get enough of. I just kept eating this all up and wanting to dive more and more into this world as you start to intrigue yourself, because this is not your, typical comic book where people are fighting and punching. In fact, when you see a showdown between Lucifer and Dream at one point, you're thinking, oh, they're gonna fight each other and punch it. No, it's a completely different scenario than you would ever expect, and maybe that's what happens in the comics, so comic book readers will know what to expect. But for the normal viewer, this is not going to be for everyone. This is a thinking man's show that dives into a lot of different things. And I actually think this Netflix very much brought this world to life in a beautiful way. And just looking at the cinematography itself and certain things that, of course, Neil Gaiman, David S. Goyer, and Alan Heinberg had really brought to this scenario in adapting this series, it's touching. And it feels relevant and something that is different. And I can see why it took so long to actually get the Sandman adapted, because this isn't just something that you can put in a movie. This is something that really did need a TV series to build up everything going about. And again, my love for this series is high, but I'm also really conflicted, like I mentioned. So let's start diving into my mixed bag element, which does come about to be a lot of the characters. There's a lot that they're trying to introduce, and I actually kind of wish, easily enough, this could have been, this entire set of series that they're trying to do, this could have been 2 seasons right here, especially within stuff in the back half that they're trying to explore in. I think everything that they set up in the beginning was quite brilliant, and I actually think a lot of writers have talked about is that when they write for TV, they write in 3 episode increments, and it feels like that for this season. Every 3 episodes, it feels like the 4th episode after those 3 is the finale for those. And I think that is kind of a risk, but also something that you can truly take in a unique manner when writing out a show. And while I appreciate some of that, there are elements where it feels, okay, so the synopsis for this is this. That's the first 4 episodes. Then the middling portion's all different. Okay, but then you get to the back half, which is kind of trying to finish out a storyline that had started in the very first episode, while also starting to create a world and create the next context for what's going to happen in season 2. And again, That's what's going to come in the season 2, and that gets me excited. But the build up to there just didn't feel completely right. It felt like they were trying to introduce one too many things, at least for me, that I wasn't totally intertwined with yet. It's hard to dive into that without talking the spoilers, but there's a character that they introduced towards the back half titled Rose Walker, or the Vortex. And for me, I found that Rose, while the performance was good there, it feels like it was a little bit too force-fed for what they were trying to do. And again, there's a lot that they're trying to introduce here, and I understand they're trying to get the point A to point B to point C for this event at the very end of the season to happen, but it just didn't feel all as natural feeling as the first 7 episodes did. And while Boyd Holbrook definitely comes to play in the back half, and I really love what they started to do with his villains, particularly where they take his character, because in a sense, he's a nightmare to this world. He's a serial killer. The whole humorous things about that felt dirty, and this is a very dirty show, so if you're expecting a little bit of a clean slate here, do not. This show can get to some nasty places sometimes, and I wasn't feeling too good at certain points, but it picks apart what is in humanity and things of that nature that make you look at humanity and you're like, yeah, I totally see that and understand that. Kind of is heartbreaking at times. And I know I keep going back to my pros because I really did like a lot of this show, but my conflicting nature really comes down to my mixed bag elements, which is really much mixed into my cons for the show, and that's just everything in the back half. It just didn't feel as intriguing to me as the first 7 episodes did. There was some enjoyment to be had there, and I enjoyed the character of Rose Walker and what they were trying to explore with her, but it just felt like more setup. While I really would have liked to just see Dream deal with the Corinthian and the nightmares of trying to build back up his world. Introducing this character who has not really been built up at all felt a little bit surface level to me, because what you're showing me, yes, I care for the reasons that you are showing me, but I don't feel for the reasons that I should. And while I wasn't fully invested in Dream, I was more invested in his journey because I wanted to see everything going about in here. So I'm very conflicted in that back half. And I know that's more of a ramble and a rant on anything, but it's kind of the way that I felt about this. It just felt mixed towards the back half, which sucks because I think this show is almost great. In fact, I loved literally a majority of it until the back half of it all. I love this world that they built up. I love these characters that they introduced me to, even though I don't feel emotionally attached to a lot of them yet. I'm excited to get emotionally attached to them. If we don't get a season 2, hell, I get to go join them in the comics. That's what gets me. And I think this is a really great introduction to the Sandman world, and this could have been a perfect first season if just executed a little bit stronger towards the back half with the introduction of Rose Walker. And I actually wish they maybe would have introduced her a little bit earlier in the season than in particular. That way we could see 2 different storylines kind of going at once. Something that the first season of The Witcher did. Not saying to do 2 different timelines, because that was completely very confusing, but I think if you were to have done a timeline of where you're paralleling and showing us a little bit more of Rose and developing her a little bit stronger, I think I would have fully cared about her by the end, specifically where they start to take her character. Because like I mentioned, she, for the most part, is kind of the main character in the last 3 episodes. And while Dream is there, they heavily emphasize a lot on her, and I was not fully invested with everything going on in her life. What can I say about the Sandman? I just rambled and ranted a lot about it, but overall, I really dug this show. I loved almost half of it, and really much my only issues come about in the back half of the series. I would have liked to have cared a little bit more about each and every one of the characters, and it feels like they had a lot to introduce, but I assume a season 2 would probably be able to, further all that out a little bit more. But this is a show that is not going to be for everyone. It's not your typical comic book show. It's a hard show to market. And I've seen some panels from the comics. It's definitely not as beautiful as comics bring about to be in certain adaptation pieces that they try to do. But for what the show is, the cinematography is quite touching. The visual effects are actually pretty damn badass. And the performances from everyone is pretty damn good. And honestly, this is a world that I want to be more invested in. It's a show that I would easily recommend to people who want to try out something new. And it is absolutely something different. And it is something that Neil Gaiman would have hands down written. I've read other things that he's written, and this feels very Neil Gaiman-ish. And I think for Sandman fans, I think you're going to be impressed with this one, but I think if you're not a Sandman fan and don't know what you're getting into, just be ready for something completely unique and original, and it feels that way in the storytelling devices. So with all that said, I'm going to give the Sandman a B+. I'm very conflicted on this one, but still really much enjoyed this one, so let me know down below what your guys' thoughts are. Thank you so much again for watching this, and of course, until next time, stay classy.